Now, the other salient point about guilds or occupational groups is that they, unlike, say, a labor union where you have, now labor unions are necessary in a capitalist society. Don't get me wrong, I have nothing against them. They're necessary right now. But they do require sort of a split-off between the worker and the owner. And they're a necessary defense for the worker. The popes have always said that, since Leo at least. But they are not the ideal. The ideal is for everyone who's working in the same industry to be united in one body. So, for example, under the medieval guilds, you had the masters who owned the small businesses, and you had trainees, you had apprentices who were learning the trade, you had journeymen who had achieved the first stage and who were amassing capital to set up their own small business. Now, all those were all members of the same organization, the guild, let's say the Baker's Guild or whatever, and they would all try to make decisions according to the best interests of the whole, keeping in mind that they were trying to serve the public with a quality product. So these are the two salient points, as I said, self-regulation, and that everybody in the industry would be a member of the same organization. You wouldn't have the trade association fighting the labor union or vice versa. You'd have everybody part of the same organization.
Yeah. No, I was skimming through here, even as you were talking, and you can go even to Mater et Magistra. It was Mother and Teacher, written by Pope John the 23rd. Now, this is quite a while after. What's that?
Mater et Magistra, yeah.
Yeah. Excuse my Latin. I attend the Latin Mass, but I'm just now beginning to learn. But I mean, even he says here, he says, we, no less than our predecessors, are convinced that employees are justified in wishing to participate in the activity of the industrial concern for which they work. It is not, of course, possible to lay down hard and fast rules regarding the manner of such participation, for this must depend on prevailing conditions, which vary, of course, from firm to firm, frequently subject to rapid and substantial alteration. Right here it says, but we have no doubt as to the need for giving workers an active part in the business of the company for which they work.
Yeah, this brings up the question of what are you of technology. I mean, in the Middle Ages, pretty much everybody, the state of technology was such that, and the amount of capital you needed to have a business was such that you could have lots and lots of very small businesses with basically one owner and just a handful of apprentices and maybe a couple journeymen who were just temporary employees because they were going to become owners themselves eventually. Now, obviously, in modern technology, you can't replicate that situation completely. You need some firms that are large. What does distributism say about this? Well, distributists would say, in those cases, you should have basically worker ownership of one kind or another. But as you just said, worker ownership can consist, there's not just one model for worker ownership. One of the most successful corporations in Europe, or companies in Europe, is the Mondragon cooperatives in Spain, they're one of the largest producers of household machinery like washing machines, refrigerators, and so on in Europe. And they're a worker-owned company, completely worker-owned. They were started by a priest in the 1950s. And Mondragon shows that distributism is not incompatible with modern technology. Now, there's a lot of debates about technology, and that's a subject in itself to talk about, but distributism was not demand that we become, we go back to the medieval techniques.
Yeah, we're going to go to a quick break. Before we do, I just wanted to kind of add something to what you said. There is a debate even within the distributist community. It's not as if we're all monolithic and we all believe in lockstep with one another. There's a debate about technology and appropriate technology and whether or not the workers of a given industry want that to be incorporated, if that's going to be detrimental or if it's going to be beneficial. So when we get back, are you able to do one more segment?
Yeah.
Okay, I'd love to. We're going to talk, hopefully here, about the practical nature of distributism just in general. It's not going to be as isolated a topic as we've had the last two segments here. It's going to be very general, but just trying to talk about the alternative that we have, the alternative to capitalism, the alternative we have to socialism and to communism and to whatever kind of ism or ation one may possibly be, and how distributism is not only good and right, but it's the most just and fair. So please don't go anywhere. This is 89.7 WOCR, the hottest variety. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. I'll tell you, we're having a good time. It's already 3/4 through the program. It's absolutely amazing how much time flies here on Paleo Radio every single Monday and Friday. But if you've missed any of this, we're hoping that it's going to be uploaded on a podcast. Now, I've done a lot of kind of fancy work here trying to make this particular interview work with how I've been podcasting so far. I used to bring in a video camera and put the headphones next to the mic and watch the volume level. Here, I literally have my headphones strapped onto my Mac. I'm looking at my Mac, and so I'm able to see. Hopefully it turns out okay, and we'll be able to put this up in podcast form and hopefully even on video form, have it on YouTube, have it available for different sites. But we've got Thomas Storck on the phone. Now, are you Dr. Thomas Storck?
No.
No, just Mr.
Mister.
Mr. Thomas Storck. Okay, now you're going to be in a debate. And
Yes.
This debate is actually not too far from right now.
Yeah, it's the 4th of April.
The
Saturday, 4th.
Yeah, the 4th of April. I have been in communique with some of the people in the Society for Distributism who are helping to put this thing on, and it's going to be in New York. Let's see here. It's the Nassau Community College Center for Catholic Studies in Long Island, New York. Now, you are going to be debating none other than Michael Novak, representing the capitalist position. This is rather interesting. For the people involved, okay, when I say that somebody's going to be debating capitalism and people generally perceive me as being just on the right, they automatically believe, well, he must be a capitalist. What distinguishes distributism and capitalism, and what exactly is wrong with capitalism?
Well, capitalism, it's funny. You'd think that for all the pervasiveness of capitalism, there would be agreement among economists or economic historians as to what capitalism is, but there's surprisingly little agreement as to what is the essence of capitalism, what is the keynote of capitalism. The definition that I use of capitalism comes from Pope Pius XI in the encyclical Quodlibet Anno, although some economists use the same definition. And capitalism means the separation of ownership and work. In other words, under capitalism, some people own the means of production and they employ others as wage earners to work on those means of production. This is the keynote of capitalism, the separation of the owners from the workers. Whereas in distributism, the owners and the workers are the same persons because ideally the enterprises are so small that they're basically single proprietorships. And when you have a larger enterprise, because of technology requires it, again, the workers are the owners of the enterprise, of the firm, because it's a worker ownership.
Now, and I didn't mean to interrupt you there. You brought up something. You said, the single proprietorship. In the encyclicals, when they're talking about this thing, they're saying there's nothing inherently wrong about the wage contract in and of itself.
Right. There's nothing inherently wrong about the wage contract.
And we're always going to have, to some degree, we're always going to have wage earners. Is the idea, though, in your opinion, is the idea that the political economy of the region, the state, the country, whatever, that it would be, the tone of it would actually be more along the lines of ownership rather than wage earning?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a question of having 100% single proprietorships. That's not ever going to happen. Some people won't want to have their own businesses. Some people won't be capable of having their own businesses.